Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swiss Astros Tigers. In this one, MLB Friday, we got 15 games on the board. We'll go through all 15 on the live show, along with the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. That's at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see it in the comments. Going through Astros Tigers. We're recording this one on Thursday evening, so I don't even know how we did on Thursday night yet. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, we had a good one. Astros Tigers, let's roll.
Welcome to the Swiss. The Swiss. Hey, get the Swiss.
All right, like I said, Houston's on the road in Detroit, and we got the Tigers as short home dogs here, plus 115 or plus 110, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 8.5. On the mound for Houston, we got Framber Valdez, and he's pitching against Casey Mize for the Tigers. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we got a slight lean on the Astros through 5 innings, 2.14 to 1.88. Final score, slight lean to the Tigers, though, 4.1 to 4.06, so pretty much deadlocked. All right, so let's start by taking a look at the numbers from the Astros offense, and we all know Houston's been struggling. The offensive numbers don't look that bad. In the last 14 days against right-handed pitching, they're 11th in WRC+, 12th in OPS, 11th in WOBA. I mean, it's not terrible, but they must be doing most of that damage against bullpens because they are not touching righty starters. The last 5 righty starters to pitch against the Astros combined for a 2.18 ERA and an 0.85 whip. The last 13 righties, 3.28 ERA and an 0.96 whip. So the Astros do have some nice-looking numbers against right-handed pitching. It's mostly from hitting up bullpens because they're not really getting to right-handed starters at all. We got Casey Mize, who, let's face it, he's coming off a pretty terrible start. Probably his worst start of the season against the Yankees, an 8.44 ERA and a 1.88 whip. He did have a 2.52 expected FIP in that game, suggesting that some of it was some bad luck. But I think I'm willing to cut him some slack for that one. Have you seen how the Yankees have been hitting right-handed starters recently? I mean, the last 3 righty starters to pitch against the Yankees, Casey Mize, Justin Verlander, and Arrighetti from Houston, those 3 combined for a 9.99 ERA and a 2.09 whip. The Yankees are most definitely a top 5 against righties right now. Casey Mize is having a pretty good year on the season, even with that blow-up in there. He's got a 3.98 ERA and a 1.33 whip, 3.86 expected FIP, so I'm willing to write him a pass for the start against the Yankees. The Yankees are crushing everybody, and I have some good news for Casey Mize. This game is at home in Detroit, where the Houston bats haven't been nearly as effective. You can see against righties on the road, 21st, 26th, and 19th. At home in Houston, they've hit right-handed pitching much better. That's a good sign for Casey Mize. I think we can count on Casey Mize to throw a good game. I do have one concern, though, his pitch mix. His main 3 pitches are a 4-seam fastball, a slider, and a splitter. Those 3 account for 92.55% of his pitches. Houston's 2nd, 7th, and 10th, respectively, against those 3 pitches. So the Astros have hit Casey Mize's pitch mix well, but as a whole, Houston hasn't been getting to righty starters. They certainly haven't been getting to righty starters on the road. Casey Mize coming off his worst start of the season. I think it's a solid bounce-back spot. I think Casey Mize will pitch well. On the other side, we got Framber Valdez against the Tigers offense. He's off to a pretty mediocre start so far this season, a 3.97 ERA, a 1.41 whip. Definitely not great-looking numbers by Framber Valdez standards. And he, too, is coming off his worst start of the season against Seattle. He got crushed. 9 hits and a walk, 5 runs through 5 1/3 innings of work. And that's the Seattle Mariners, not the most talented lineup against left-handed pitching. Heading into that game, the Mariners were 24th in WRC+, 21st in isolated power, 25th in on-base percentage against lefties. So Framber Valdez got rocked by those kind of numbers. Now he's set to pitch against the Tigers lineup that's done really well against left-handed pitching so far this season. In the last 30 days, they're 10th in WRC+, 9th in OPS, and 10th in WOBA against lefties. The last 3 lefty starters to pitch against Detroit, they combined for 12 innings pitched, a 9.75 ERA, and a 2.25 home runs per 9, and a 1.83 whip. Those are ugly numbers. Detroit's been hitting up lefty starters, and they've done much better against lefties at home than they have on the road. It's definitely a small sample size still, but against lefties at home, Detroit's 3rd in WRC+, 1st in isolated power, 6th in on-base percentage. Detroit's been a tough place for lefties to go on the road and pitch. Now, something I do want to point out, and again, we're dealing with a super small sample size here, but Detroit has done most of their damage against lefties, against bad lefties. You can see split up by ERA. Detroit against lefties with an ERA under 3.5, towards the bottom in the MLB. Detroit against lefties in between 3.5 ERA and a 5.0 ERA, towards the bottom of the MLB. Detroit against lefties with an ERA above 5, 8th, 11th, and 17th. So Detroit's done much better against bad lefties. As we know, Framber Valdez is definitely not a bad lefty. So, I mean, we take that with a grain of salt. Detroit's got great numbers against lefties, but they haven't seen the toughest lefties as far as competition. And also, we have to take into account that Framber Valdez has some excellent history against the Tigers. On his last 5 starts against Detroit, he's 1-2. But he's got a 1.80 ERA and a 1.06 WHIP in those starts, a .26 home runs per 9. So he's pitched really well against the Tigers, but in those 5 games, the Tigers were 3-2 to the money line and 4-1 to the run line at +1.5. So even though Framber Valdez himself has pitched really well against the Tigers in his last 5, Detroit still won the majority of those games. So I think there's a solid chance Framber Valdez pitches a good game here, but it's not enough to get me onto Houston. And then we look at the late innings. I mean, no question, Detroit's got the better bullpen here. 7th in ERA to 26th in the last 30 days. And then you take into account that this game's at home in Detroit. Detroit's bullpen at home, 6th in ERA, 6th at WOBA, 18th in expected FIP. Astros bullpen on the road has really struggled, 23rd in ERA, 19th in WOBA, 25th in expected FIP. We can point at the offenses against bullpens. Houston's done a much better job offensively in the late innings, but still the edge has to go to Detroit in the late innings, which is why you got to go Tigers here. I mean, unfortunately, I'm recording this before the Astros-Yankee game ends, the afternoon game on Thursday. So maybe by the time you're watching this, Astros picked up a win. But as a whole, this Houston team continues to be overpriced. I'm getting Detroit, who's hit lefties well, with Casey Mize in a bounce-back spot at home at plus money. Would have to be Detroit here. So Tigers money line for me. If you want my top bets for MLB or NBA, I post them right on KyleKirms.com. You could also get the top bets from anyone on the staff here. They're all posted on the website. You can get access to everything with Sauce Network Plus. Live show, like I said, 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and all 15 MLB games. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a great Friday night. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I had a solid Thursday. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.